Perfect. Okay, greetings everyone. Welcome to the broadcast. I'll give it just a couple of seconds for people to join in. Just a couple of seconds. Okay, I see someone has joined me over here on Periscope. Welcome to the broadcast. I'll go ahead and get started. In case you don't know who I am Dr. Michelle Clay. I am speaker, Amazon #1 best-selling author, osteopathic physician, certified holistic health counselor, your holistic physician who specializes in the release of stress simply and naturally through my coaching programs, blogs, speaking engagements, and masterclasses. Then I help busy professionals, overwhelmed, overachievers, exhausted executives find their place of healthy, happy harmony so that you can live your free life on purpose and with passion. To begin your journey of living your life free on purpose and with passion, releasing the stress simply and naturally, go to the website, which is in the description box over here on Periscope, on the screen over here on Facebook, which is www.freelife7le.com. Again, that is www.freelife7le.com. And there I have a gift for you, an audiobook, 10 minutes to tranquility. So go ahead and share this broadcast with your friends, your followers, so that they can get this information. Today is Wednesday, so it is Wednesday's Wellness Wisdom Pearl with Dr. Michelle Clay. Today's topic, wellness wisdom for PTSD. So what inspired me to do this broadcast is because, number one, I live in New Orleans. Yesterday was the anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, and in light of everything that is going on for the people on the coastal regions of Texas, southeast portion of Texas and Houston, who are dealing with a lot of the same things that people here in Louisiana dealt with Katrina. And even, what was that, last year, I believe, there was a flood in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So people are traumatized. How do you deal? How do you keep going in the midst of all of that? So let's talk about it just a little bit so that we are clear on what PTSD is. That word, that phrase became really popular and mainstream with veterans coming home from Desert Storm, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and from Afghanistan. And due to traumatic brain injury or just a lot of things they saw in the field, the terminology PTSD became really popular in mainstream, which is really a great thing because it helps us be aware of us experiencing some of the same symptoms, to destigmatize having that particular disorder and being more open to receiving help, as well as being more aware of the resources available to you. So let's talk about PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, just a little bit so you can understand fully what it is. And maybe if you had not been diagnosed, you might recognize some of these symptoms in yourself and be able to receive the help that you need. So first, PTSD, or post-traumatic stress, is the inability to dissociate the trauma from the past, and you live in fear of the future. In the true clinical sense of PTSD, you feel powerless and great danger is involved. Now, of course, people who are veterans returning from the combat zone will experience this, but perhaps you have experienced some of these particular events in your life that could lead to PTSD. For instance, of course, if you've been exposed or threatened with death, serious injury, accident, some form of violence, whether it's held at gunpoint, being robbed, being molested, that type of thing, feeling helpless from some kind of trauma in your childhood, physically assaulted, a major, overwhelming, adverse life event, you have a major shift in your life, such as death of a spouse, a significant other, a loved one, divorce even. People who've gone through divorce, no matter how hostile or angry the environment has been, still can go through a grieving process because that part of your life, there's been a death to that part of your life and part of your identity. If you identified yourself as a husband, identified yourself as a wife, identify yourself as our family unit consists of these people, and then there is a death of that. Okay? Sudden or major emotional losses, of course. Natural disasters. People in this country have been, thank you so much for joining me. People in this country are exposed, well, all over the world, exposed to natural disasters all the time. Whether it's hurricane, tropical storm, tornadoes, okay, when pretty soon winter is coming. There's winter storms. You may feel homebound or get trapped in the snow somewhere and you are fearful of frostbite or that type of thing, or hypothermia. If you are a witness to some kind of traumatic or violent event, and for those of us who are not actually experiencing, for instance, Hurricane Harvey at the moment, or even just a couple of weeks ago, the trauma that occurred in Charlottesville, Virginia, when you are constantly exposed to the same trauma over and over. For instance, if you constantly look at devastating images from Hurricane Harvey, a lot of people experience this during 9/11. I know I was in New York at the time during 9/11, and it got to the point where I had to stop watching TV because the images were so devastating and traumatic to my psyche. I started experiencing feelings of anxiety, helplessness, and even sleep disturbances. I felt so heavy. Now, I was not at the World Trade Center. I was supposed to be at the World Trade Center that morning. And a friend of mine worked directly across the street from the World Trade Center. But I'm just saying, if you are a family member, a loved one, sometimes even some therapists or counselors, when they are constantly exposed to some very debilitating and traumatic events with their patients or clients, constantly hearing these over and over, sometimes you can actually feel like you're living it, even though it is not your personal experience. So with PTSD, there's a constant cycle of re-experiencing the trauma. You may have feelings of dissociating, avoiding, numbing the behavior, the feelings, emotions, triggers. That's something really important. If you have ever been through a traumatic event, whether recently or from your past, then there are certain things that can trigger the same feelings and emotions as if you are living it currently, such as sounds, smells, visions, anything that you can touch, significant dates, holidays. For people who may have lost a loved one that they were very close to around Christmas time or something like that, then the holiday time can be very difficult and can trigger these feelings. Stressful events can arouse that. Thoughts, memories, particular behaviors. So I had a particular client who, of course, I live in New Orleans, so a lot of my clients experienced or lived through Hurricane Katrina and the devastation with that, and they were displaced, as we all know from the news. People were displaced, and the feeling, the sense of home was gone. Everything that you've ever known, the only memories that you have are what you have in here. People lost birth certificates. They lost pictures that you can't even look at a picture and trigger fond memories from your childhood or your past. But anyway, this particular client was eating a particular food at night and would wake up in the middle of the night and eat this food. And the client could not figure out why they were doing it. By unpacking it and going through various things in the past, we were able to discover the reason why the client was eating this particular food in the middle of the night. This started when they were displaced from home. And it triggered memories of home from when they were a childhood, which is comforting. At a time when there was no home, your family members are all displaced. You can't even go back to the house you grew up in. You don't know what's going on. So anything of comfort to feel like home. So the particular food they were eating was totally not healthy. But it reminded them of childhood. So what we had to do was replace one thing for another, something else that was comforting, that made them feel that warm sense of home. That was a much healthier behavior. So what are some wellness wisdom pearls using a holistic approach that we can incorporate if you are experiencing PTSD, you are experiencing trauma? First of all, for the people who are in Southeast Texas and in Houston, since that is Southeast Texas, then right now you are on survival mode. Okay, if you're flooded, what do I need to do? How do I need to replace my items? How can I eat? Where can I find food, shelter, water, transportation? And you are in what we call fight or flight, which is the stress response. Completely natural, because right now you are on survival mode. Once you are through that, and for those who have experienced some kind of trauma in the past, or those who, for instance, experienced Katrina, which was 12 years ago, number one, work with a professional. A professional can help you be able to unpack these feelings and create healthy strategies to get through it. By avoiding these feelings or thoughts of the traumatic event, it does not make it go away. It is still there. It is just repressed. A professional can help you get to the source of the event, both physically and emotionally. Sometimes they can help you even experience it again fully and be able to have a catharsis releasing it. A professional, if necessary, doing this work can give antidepressants for a short period of time to help you get through this, such as a class of antidepressants that we call SSRIs that deal with serotonin, to increase the amount of serotonin available to your cells. Serotonin is what we call a neurotransmitter, which is like a biochemical that comes from the nervous system and helps the nervous system. Okay, now natural ways we can help facilitate that process of serotonin is our diet. Increasing serotonin, the neurotransmitter, as well as dopamine, another neurotransmitter that is considered the pleasure or feel-good biochemical. How you can facilitate the process of increasing available serotonin would be foods that are rich in B vitamins, foods that are rich in magnesium, foods that are rich in essential fatty acids such as flaxseed oil, such as fish like salmon, and walnuts. There have been studies to show that to help increase serotonin, bright natural light. A lot of people experience seasonal affective disorder in the winter, so they're inside a lot. If you're a person that stays inside a lot, even in the summertime, because you're like, oh, look, it's too hot. Okay, I'm trying to be inside in the cool air, then getting bright natural light can help facilitate that process as well. Decreasing cortisol levels, because the stress response or the fight or flight response sends cortisol levels through the roof. So decreasing cortisol levels. Body work such as massage can help facilitate that, helps you get into a relaxation mode, as well as this woman is a liar, follow Jesus. Yes, absolutely, you should follow Jesus. But in it says faith without works is dead. So if you put your faith in that which is holy, sacred, and divine to you, watching from Atlanta, hey, Mr. Ron, then what can happen is that your God can help you, strengthen you, give you the power from within to do other things. But as always, God is first. What is sacred, holy to you is first, is number one. Okay? Yes, Jesus does heal all. Jesus does heal all. You are absolutely correct. Thank you for joining me, Mr. Ron, in Atlanta. Appreciate you. So anyway, that was someone over on Periscope. They said I was a liar because Jesus heals all. And yes, like I was saying, you should tap in and to your God, your divine, what is holy and sacred to you. You need that to make it through. But from someone who is a believer, prayed every day, a member of the gospel choir, faithful attendant of going to Bible study, reading my Bible every single day, meditating, praying on it, falling before God, praying and crying, and yet and still I had suicidal thoughts. Then I know from experience, the Bible that I was studying does say, faith without works is dead. In it, it also says, I will show you my faith by my works. So I continued to pray, to sing in the gospel choir, singing praises. But what I also did, when I knew that it was too much, I sought help. Because the thing about it is this. We are all here to help one another. We are all here to help one another. And your help from God can come through people. There is a parable that many of you know, and it talks about how there was a man who was on the rooftop. It was raining, cats and dogs, and it was flooding. And he was praying, asking God to come help him, come save him. And then someone came with a boat, and he was like, no, I'm waiting for God to save me. Then someone came with a helicopter, and he said, no, I'm waiting for God to save me. And then eventually the man perished. And so as the parable goes, once the man died and went to heaven and saw God and said, God, why didn't you save me? And God's reply was, I sent the help and you refused it. So that was a complete tangent. But as people come up and they have comments, I like to address them. If they have questions, I like to address them. If you have questions over here on Facebook, by all means, type them in. So anyway, decreasing cortisol levels. So let me just recap because there's a little interruption. So 3 things using a holistic approach that you can do to help with signs and symptoms of PTSD. Number 1, seek a professional. that can help you deal with the physical, thank you so much for the hearts, the physical and emotional things that you are experiencing as a result of the source of the trauma. And then what can happen is that they can help you unpack that. Sometimes you may have to relive it because so many people, when they've experienced trauma, dissociate, they numb it, they repress the feelings, but that does not mean that they go away. And things can trigger you to relive that all over again. So a professional, number one, can help you through that process so that you have a cathartic moment, being able to release that. What a professional can also do is address serotonin if you may temporarily need to use an antidepressant, specifically in the class of drugs called SSRIs, or serotonin specific reuptake inhibitors, so that you will have more available serotonin, or what's known as the feel-good mood balancing neurotransmitter. Number two, decrease your cortisol levels. You can do that with things such as massage, which will help give you a feeling of relaxation, helping to bring down cortisol levels, as well as soothe tense muscles that come as a result of chronic stress. Diet and herbs can also decrease cortisol levels. And number three, you can increase serotonin and dopamine levels through your diet. So serotonin-rich foods such as foods high in B vitamins, foods high in magnesium, foods high in essential fatty acids such as your fish, flaxseed oil, and walnuts. So if you are experiencing these, if you put these three together, it will help increase your level of wellness and help get you on the road to healing, recovering, living a more peaceful life, a calmer life, less anxiety, and that's good news for everyone. So, that's all that I have for today. Are there any other questions or comments? Thank you so much for the hearts on Periscope. Thank you for joining me over here on Facebook. So once again, everyone, today's Wellness Wisdom Pearl is Wellness Wisdom for PTSD. 3 main points. Number 1, work with a professional. Number 2, decrease cortisol levels. Number 3, increase serotonin and dopamine. So once again, I am Dr. Michelle Clay. I am Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine, certified holistic health counselor, speaker, Amazon #1 best-selling author, your holistic physician who specializes in the release of stress simply and naturally for busy professionals, overwhelmed overachievers, super wonder women who are looking to find their place of healthy, happy harmony so that you can live your free life on purpose and with passion. And I have a free gift for you at www.freelife7le.com. A complimentary audiobook, 10 Minutes to Tranquility. So until next time, thank you so much for the hearts over here on Periscope. So until next time, be well. Do something well for yourself. Get the help that you need. Seek your support for dealing with past traumas that have trapped you, enslaved you, and left you feeling stuck with the inability to move forward in your life, and as a result may have physical symptoms or exacerbate chronic medical conditions. So I want you to be well. I want you to love yourself. I want you to love others. I want you to be in a position to receive love, receive the love, help, and support from others so that you can live your free life, the free life you deserve, on purpose and with passion. Until next time, bye-bye.